All right. Okay, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Nikasi Apaka. I'm the founder of Black Girls Link. Welcome to our last event for the Black Women Wellness Week. And the event is the Black Women Career Advancement and Success Event. Throughout the presentation and the event, please keep your cameras off and yourselves muted. For those of you that may not know, Black Girls Link is also known as BGL. We are a Black women-led network empowering Black women professionally and socially through sisterhood and activism. Um, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to our speaker, MiMi, also Michelle Matthews, tonight. And she'll be talking to us about how Black women professionals can advance in their workplace and achieve their career goals. After the presentation, we'll do a Q&A. And during the presentation, please use the chat and write questions you may have anytime throughout the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I will ask MiMi the questions you have written in the chat. Now, I would like to hand this off to our speaker, MiMi, and allow her to introduce herself and tell us more about her professional background. Please join me in welcoming MiMi.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, you guys. Good evening. Good evening. So I am Michelle Matthews. My clients and my friends and family know me as Coach MiMi. That's the persona that I've taken on. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, how I believe, you just have to step outside of yourself and really become the person that you want to become in the moment, in the present. So a little bit about me. This presentation, like we've talked about, is going to be about effective goal setting and how to advance in your career. I'm known for helping professionals, mainly women, advance in the workplace through helping them really find fulfilling work and build their confidence so that they're able to go out and actually get what it is that they want from the market. So this presentation is all about setting goals with a vision in mind so that it inspires you to take action from within. So yeah, I am a career coach, but prior to becoming a career coach, I actually was a full-time accountant for Chicago Housing Authority. It's a municipal organization, one of the biggest housing authorities in the United States. I did that for 5 years. I just left my job in December and decided to pursue this full time. So I'm brand new to full-time entrepreneurship, but while being in the workplace, I was able to achieve more than $1 million in salary increases while being a supported, I don't like to say single, a supported mom of 2. So I'm here to tell you that whatever you set your mind to do, you can absolutely do it, okay? All it takes is for you to really own that vision and go after it. So right now I am acting as a restorative career strategist, and I call myself a restorative career strategist because for me, it's really important to rebuild the professional. I deal with a lot of professionals who have endured toxic workplaces, bad leadership, and things of that nature, which has, discouraged them from going on and actually getting the job that they want to get. So I do a lot of restoration of character, spirit. I believe in, attacking things holistically, mind, body, and soul. So yeah, I'm the boss up at Hustle Queen. I don't believe in actually hustling. I believe in reverse engineering the word hustle and actually resting in yourself and going after what it is that you want. I do not subscribe to the grind culture. So yeah, as I was saying, I was an accountant, and then I turned into a community advocate, and then I turned into a career coach. So what you see here is a little collage of the things I've done over the years. I started out going into NPOs. I did nonprofit accounting for a while, and then I got into Chicago Housing Authority. I was in the higher education industry as well, doing accounting. So I, seen a few things, and it's because, again, I've always wanted to help and be of help to my community. So I wanted to go into organizations that supported my values. So as I did that, I got into doing advocacy out in my own community. And Chicago. The North Lawndale community at the time was suffering from the Chicago public schools were actually about to go into strike, and then we had a unusual rash of gun violence. This was when gun violence, we became known for gun violence back in like 2015. And the kids, I was afraid for kids to actually be on the streets, and I just wanted to do something that would support parents and the kids as they figured out what they would do if the schools actually closed. So that's how I got started with that. And then I stepped over into supporting women. That's the pictures you see here, where I was getting women together and having them talk about their businesses, their brands, their whatever they were doing in their career. And we would support each other and really hold space for all of the things that we were feeling at that moment. So I did that. I wrote resumes for a long time exclusively. I've done a lot of things, and that's why like I said, I can really speak to setting goals and actually figuring out how to achieve them. So this right here, I took a screenshot and was like, I have to share this with you guys because this is where it started. Okay, what you see here is a screenshot of something I wrote when I was in undergrad. I was in undergrad and I was at my desk I was in a work study program, and I was just thinking, like, what did I want to do after college? And this is what I had came up with. This was where it all started, when I was like, oh, I want to support people in my community. As you see, it's dated September 24th, 2017. That's just the date of this actual screenshot. The picture was taken 2 years before. And I just want you to know, like, this is how you get started with going after your goals, by knowing exactly what it is you are on a mission to do. Whatever your organization, it doesn't matter the organization, it doesn't matter where you are, you have to have a mission that guides you and supports you in actually taking action and doing the things that you want to do. So as you can see here, I said I wanted to empower African-American children and adults to be able to take on life and its challenges. So that's my mission, and everything that I do, that is what I want to do. So it doesn't matter if I'm in the colleges, it doesn't matter if I was at CHA, whatever I was doing, that's what I wanted to do ultimately. And so this is how I tell people to set goals, right? We've probably all heard this saying, proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? The 5 Ps. There's a guy by the name of Stephen Scott. He's written a few books, and there's one in particular that I adore because it actually put a name on the method that I had been doing. And he calls it the shooting for the stars method, where you have your vision, then you create your goals, and then you create steps to achieve that goal, and then you break down those steps into tasks. I've been doing that since the beginning of time. I just never named it anything, right? So I like to tell people to keep a journal or a notebook so that you can actually see what you're doing and if you're, sticking to what it is you need to do. So as I said before, my vision was to empower African-American children and adults, right? So my goals then turned into what, it started to get personal as far as what I wanted to achieve. And then the steps in doing so, like establishing my LLC, figuring out how to do things on the side in addition to doing my job, in addition to being a mom, how to I had to figure out all of the steps, and then take single steps to get toward achieving, get those things achieved one by one. Because one of the things that happens for us in particular as Black women, we tend to deal with overwhelm, anxiety, and just not feeling the best about the corporate environment or workplaces in general. I looked at a couple of statistics to kind of fire some off at you, just so you'll understand. Like, we are the least engaged in the workplace. We are said to be the least to thrive in the workplace. We are said to be the least to actually advance in the workplace as a leader or a manager. So with that in mind, it's super important for us to to have tunnel vision for what it is that we want for ourselves. Because if that's the case where, we do have these statistics saying all of these things to us, we have to have in mind that that doesn't apply to us, right? You're here for a reason. You're here to learn how to execute without all of the noise. And that's what it takes. It takes for you to have this journal in place that it overshadows all the noise that you hear that about you not being able to do something, about the workplace not being the place for you. You can make it be wherever you want it to be, right? So just keep in mind, have a vision, and then the rest will pave the way. So how do you come up with a vision, right? You have to ask yourself the right questions. And this is what I do with working with my clients. I make sure that they understand, like, this is all on you. I can't write the vision for you. I can't give you a plan for your life. You have to get personal and understand what it is that you really want for yourself so that you can actually go after those things. So again, as a Black woman, we tend to wear a lot of different hats, right? And because of that, we sometimes give in to the people who need us rather than, supporting ourselves and what it is that we want and what we need in the moment. So I like to ask these questions here. What do you want? I have you in capital letters because, again, it's always about you. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And what do you want to have, right? So as I was saying in the beginning of the presentation, I decided a long time ago that there would not be a line between my professional and personal brand, right? Because for one, I was coloring outside of the lines the entire time as a professional and as a side hustler, right? So there was no boundary or a line that was dividing the two. I was that person at all times. And that's what I want more professionals to take on, because at this point, branding yourself as an individual is what's going to carry you in the workplace. It doesn't matter when you go outside, if you're going out for happy hour, you're going out with your friends for brunch, it doesn't matter what place it is, you are always that person, right? That's always a hat that you wear. So for me, all of my friends, all of my family, they all know that this is a part of my life. It's a huge part of my life, and it means a lot to me. So I chose to become who I see myself in the future. This moment where I'm a full-time entrepreneur, I took that on way back when, right? And that's all a part of the vision. It's all a part of writing the vision. When you get it fleshed out, you walk into it as if it's the present. You assume your position right now. If it's leadership that you want to walk into, then you have to assume that position, even if you're at the bottom right now, as a secretary, as an assistant, whatever the case may be. You assume yourself to be the manager, the leader, because anybody could be a leader, right? So again, getting clear on what you want and who you want to be will take you a very long way. And then understanding where it is you want to go. What companies do you want to work at? Do they support your values? What kind of mission are you on as an individual, and what professional space will allow you to do that, right? And so then again, why is it important to follow through on these plans, right? So this is the biggest question. This is the last question that I tend to ask, because after you fleshed out all of those things, it's really important to tie your goal to something that is meaningful to you. So for me, becoming a full-time entrepreneur was valuable for me because I needed the time flexibility as a supported mom. I needed to be able to do what I needed to do for my children. I needed to be able to support them in whatever they had going on without having to figure out scheduling and, talking to 18 different people about taking time off or whatever. So you have to understand what makes this valuable to you. So I have here a list of core values that you can kind of look at and play around with, because this, for me, freedom is the biggest one. So when I always tell people to pick out 3 to 5 and then tie it back to something very personal to you. So for me, the empowerment part comes with my community. I come from one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in Chicago. So empowering people to see beyond where they are right now and seeing themselves in the future as someone, whoever it is that they want to become, is important to me. The freedom, again, my time freedom is super important to me. Communing in spaces like this is super important to me. So my three off the top is empowerment, freedom, and community, because I love being in spaces like this. So figure out what it is that you value and why your goals are so important for you to actually achieve. And then create a check-in process, right? You have to have something that holds you accountable, because if not, that notebook is just going to get buried somewhere and you're not going to be able to really monitor your progress in achieving your goals. So I always say create a check-in process. And this is what you should do before you even attempt to take action with anything, right? I just want to make sure that that's being said, that we put all of the tools in place that we need to support us to actually achieve the goal first. So creating this check-in process is super important. So when you're going through things, like I said, we tend to be overwhelmed and anxious because of all of the things that are on our plate. And a lot of the time it's because there's so many different options. We live in a world where there are so many distractions, so many options. And a lot of the time it can serve as what's keeping you from achieving your actual goal. So ask yourself frequently, are you overwhelmed? Are you dealing with analysis paralysis if you're not seeing progress in achieving your goal? And then the next thing is stillness works. So I like to share with people, create some type of meditative practice where you could sit with yourself and actually reflect over your thoughts, like actually look at what you're thinking about. That's what I like to call it. Be an observer of your mind. See what you are feeding yourself on a daily basis, as far as, are you being negative? Are you being positive about where it is you want to go? Are you actually cultivating good thoughts that supports this goal, right? So being still is something that you should take advantage of and do frequently. And that goes in with the next point, which is daily, weekly, monthly activities for reflection. I suggest meditation, daily, weekly, just checking in. Also, a to-do list is good too. I like to have a good handy dandy to-do list just to check off things throughout the day. But weekly, reflect on what you've gotten done and what you need to turn over for the next week. And then of course, monthly, review if you're satisfied with your progress, or if you're not, what can you do to make it better? Reflection is a weapon. It's a really great weapon against being stagnant, against not just abandoning your goals altogether. And then, of course, if it's possible, get an accountability partner, because sometimes having someone to hold you to your word makes a big difference. You don't want someone to see you as a slacker, or see you as someone who doesn't keep your word. So get an accountability partner if possible, because it'll hold you, you don't want someone to not trust your word. And that's exactly what it comes down to. If you're talking about achieving these goals in the workplace, then and you have someone actually looking forward to you achieving these things, you're going to want to, achieve them that much more. And then here's the big part of all of this, right? Your goals should support whatever it is that you want to do in your career. What you're looking at here is the four options that's usually the four options that most professionals choose to pursue during their career at some point, especially during advancement. So you could choose either to conduct a new search altogether, or you could do some networking, build your brand, that type of thing. If you're trying to get a promotion, then that's something different. And then development, of course, where you're actually developing your skill set and your personal, maybe even your personal development. I like to map things out for people, like with the things that you need to do in order to get these things started. So I've given you guys a few things here that would support you in if one of these four things are a goal for you. So identifying ideal companies, prepping your resume, and finishing projects, if that's what you want to do. As far as a new search, if you want to conduct a new search, don't leave on bad terms. make sure that you're taking care of everything that you need to take care of. Networking, identifying the right people, attending the right events, and developing your professional brand is always something you want to do if that's going to be your goal. In your promotion, initiate conversations with your leaders, identify KPIs that's going to allow you to see allow you to support your ask in being promoted, right? And then solve a long-standing issue. That's an easy way to get eyes on you and your brand. So the next thing is development, where you're training, doing more education, or pursuing certifications. Whatever the case may be, you have to know what it is ahead of time so that you can set yourself up for success. Okay, check the time. We're doing good. So the other thing is being resourceful, right? Because we are people, as Black women, we are people who are the least likely to get ahead in the workplace. We have to do some things that, kind of like a creative process to make sure that we're getting ourselves out there and being visible to the people we want to be visible to. So I am a big advocate for people utilizing LinkedIn in whatever goal it is you choose for your career. LinkedIn will support you in whatever it is. Having positive relationships with people, making sure you're building a rapport with the right people and allowing them to know who you are, what it is you do, and what you're known for, right? Because in the event that you do want to move into another position, your network could be your greatest asset in doing so. And then, of course, there's the job descriptions out here. Job descriptions give you everything you need in building yourself up. So if you can identify where it is you want to go, all you have to do is print a job description of that type of position and start looking to see, compare yourself to that job description to see where you are in the process. Are you ready? Do you need to do some things to get ready? That type of thing. It kind of gives you a benchmark for what it is you want to do. And then conducting informational interviews. LinkedIn, again, is a great tool to utilize to get these conversations started. Just start fishing for people who are at the companies you want to transition into, fishing for people who are doing the things that you want to do, ask them about their journey. All of those things really help you figure out how to move the needle in your journey. And then I have a pro tip here where a LinkedIn premium subscription goes a long way, because you're able to do so much more. You're able to see who's viewing your profile and reach out to those people. You're able to see how well you're doing as far as your profile, how well your profile is being seen, like the visibility of it. You're able to see so many different things by having the premium subscription of LinkedIn. And no, they are not paying me for saying this. It really is that good. So if you're interested in starting to build a brand, or to venture out into something new, or even go into just a new position, LinkedIn is a great way to get started. And I know we're running out of time, so I want to share how to stay in touch. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I have my website here, the podcast. I do have a podcast. My signature program is Powerless to Powerful Professional Formula, where again, I help people out of that victim mentality and get into an empowered state so that they could go after what it is they want in the job market. And then I have an upcoming challenge, the Prosperous Professional Planning Bootcamp, where I am allowing the curtain to be pulled back on my process, where I'm allowing people to see that, just because you're a professional doesn't mean you have to have one single stream of income. You can create different things for yourself, especially in this environment. It is super important to make sure your brand is visible and you're able to make it, lucrative and capitalize off of it. And then, of course, I'm going to ask you guys, if this was helpful, find me on LinkedIn, let's connect, and give me a LinkedIn recommendation. When you guys set out for whatever it is that you want to do, whatever goal it is that you want to achieve, getting LinkedIn recommendations serves a great purpose, and it allows people to see inside your brand before having to just go out on a whim and trust you. You have validation and credibility through your LinkedIn profile. So if you guys don't mind and you found this helpful, send your girl a LinkedIn recommendation. I'll write one back for sure. And I could turn it back over to you guys so that we can review any questions that you guys may have, and talk more about how to thrive in the workplace.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Coach Mimi. So as a reminder, we're actually doing great on time, so no rush at all.
Cool.
Just as a reminder for anyone that have any questions, please write them in the chat. As for now, since we don't have any questions just yet, but I do have a question I'd like to get us started.
Mhm.
Um, what are some of the biggest obstacles you think Black women confront when advancing into leadership positions in the workplace and in their careers?
Yeah, a lot of the times it's the politics, the office politics, and not understanding how to navigate those things. A lot of the times I suggest for, people to find people in the organization that they could call their safe space, or
Mhm.
someone who will allow them some type of view on the inside, because until you have eyes on the inside, you won't understand the culture of the company and what it is you're going up against. So while there's all of these different things, I think the biggest obstacle is the office politics, because we're in this environment. There's so many things that, we have all of the DEI initiatives, but let's be honest, they're not working as great as we would want them to work. So we're still coming up against the machine when it comes to actually advancing. And it's a lot of time because we're not as visible as we would like to think in the workplace, or we're being intentionally ignored, and not being accredited for the work that we do contribute to the workplace.
Okay, okay. I think we have a conversation in on the chat. A question. How do we navigate being an introvert in the workplace without being labeled as unapproachable?
Yeah, this is a good one too, because when it comes to engagement, again, we're the least likely to engage with people in the workplace. And as an introvert, I would like to call myself an extroverted introvert, but I think I've done well with making sure that I am approachable, and it doesn't take much. It literally only takes for you to just be welcoming, have a welcoming presence, as far as just hello, goodbye, having just comment, just proper etiquette, and being able to present yourself well. You don't have to have full-blown conversations with people. I, for one, hate small talk. So I understand this question wholeheartedly. Just be able to, insert yourself when you need to, but of course, allow yourself to not fall into those stereotypes by keeping in mind what those stereotypes are that you don't want to be seen as. So for me, I I tend to look kind of mean, just resting. I have that resting face, and so I try to, once I see someone looking at me or they're making eye contact with me, I'll throw a little smile just so I don't seem as aggressive or unapproachable, because they will label you that immediately if you don't take into account that is actually happening. And I knew it was happening because I heard it. So again, like I said, just keep in mind what it is you don't want to be seen as, and work around it that way. And just a hello and goodbye works for that, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, another question. Do you have any tips in finding mentors or sponsors to propel your career?
Yes. So I have a mentor. And she was my boss at one of my previous jobs. So I just went out on a limb and asked her, like, would she mentor me and support me in my journey? So what it looks like is basically understanding that with mentorship, you have, and with sponsors as well, you're asking them to give you their time. You're asking them to give you their expertise and their advice for free for the most part. And with that, you want to make sure that it's a mutually beneficial relationship for them. So I like to for me, what I do with my mentor, I make sure that I understand what it is she needs from me, just so that we're on the same playing field. So for instance, when I have different events coming up, I'll ask her to maybe write a recommendation or ask her to introduce me to someone of that nature. But I will also ask her, how can I support her? So make sure that your mentor or your sponsor knows that you're not only serious about advancing your own career, but you want to be able to support them as well in any way that you can. So don't go into those spaces looking to take. You have to give something as well. So make sure you're understanding of what it is that they need, whatever support it is that they may need from you. And if you're able to do it, do it.
Awesome, awesome. I do have a question,
Mhm.
personally, also for myself to know how to approach this scenario. How do you advise Black women to approach conversations about negotiating a higher salary or a raise? And also, especially even obviously when you're working in the workplace, but also even when you get a job offer and that has
Mhm.
a range of like how much they're offering. Do you advise us going about doing that?
Yeah, so a lot of the times, I tell people to just do your research. That's the first thing. Empower yourself with knowing the data and knowing the numbers for the position or the role it is that you're actually taking on. And then the other side of that, because we do know we only make 63 cents in comparison to white men in the workplace, have those tough conversations with the people who are willing to have them. So get to know what your counterparts are making. A lot of people will give you a ballpark figure without telling you what their actual salary is, but they'll tell you if you're, selling yourself short, or if you're, lowballing yourself. Have those conversations so you can understand what you're, like I said, what you're up against. It's always best to approach these conversations proactive. Do your research. Glassdoor, Indeed.com, a lot of places I know in New York or Colorado, there's a lot of places that's starting to have pay transparency where you're able to see what the range is for the offer. So when you get the offer, actually know what it is that you want for yourself. I have a whole salary negotiation workshop online. I could share that with you after this call, but it's a YouTube video that I did for my alma mater where I just talk you through how to empower yourself as much as like knowing your worth, knowing how to present your projects and just basically present your brand as being lucrative. Like I'm adding to you guys as much as you are adding to me. So you have to be able to position yourself as someone of power and someone who understands, like, yeah, I'm not to be played with, because that's the thing. They expect us to not ask for what it is we're worth. But when you come in on business and you know what it is that they respect that. And I personally have negotiated every single salary that I've had because of that. I do not play around when it comes to the coin, and I do not suggest that you guys do either. Do your research, empower yourself, position, review all of the things that you've done in your career as far as the things you've achieved, the results that you've gotten, and use those as a weapon. Weaponize yourself with what it is that you've achieved so that they'll know who they're talking to.
All right, awesome. Remember, everyone, please write any questions you may have in the chat. I do have another one for you, Coach Mimi.
Mhm.
So one is, how would you advise a Black woman to, if they are in one career but they want to pivot to another, and obviously they might be struggling with writing their resume or in preparing for the application process for another career that they're trying to get into but may not have a lot of experience in.
Yeah. So with pivoting, this is where your network is going to be very, very valuable to you. And not only is your network going to be valuable to you, but also if you utilize LinkedIn is going to be very valuable to you because you're able to get an inside scoop on how professionals of that industry or that role or whatever it is that you're pursuing, how are they showing up, right? So you want to align yourself with whatever it is, whatever role it is that you're actually pivoting into. You want to align yourself with that. So use the language, like familiarize yourself with the language that they use, familiarize yourself with the programming that they use, softwares and stuff like that. Because a lot of the time it's really easy to pivot into something else, but the challenge comes in where you have to pretty much face yourself. It's always you versus you in these types of situations where you have to pretty much tell yourself, kind of counter the imposter syndrome, that you are actually qualified for where it is you want to go. Because then once you tell yourself that, you're able to walk into the shoes that you want to wear going forward. So you're able to utilize the language. You're able to, like I always tell people, to download trial versions of whatever programs that they use so that you can familiarize yourself with it to some degree, because they're going to train you anyway. So get yourself familiar with what it is that they do and how they do it. And of course, use those keywords in those job descriptions on your resume. So make sure that you are integrating their language all the way throughout your brand. So if you were in the past, like I said, if you were like an executive assistant, but now you want to be a financial analyst, position yourself as a financial analyst going forward. Talk about all of the things that support what a financial analyst would do. So if you're doing reports, if you're, pretty much cleaning up data and that type of stuff, that's what you want to cite on your resume, rather than those things that don't support where it is you're going. You always want to position yourself for where you're going, not where you've been.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Um, please, if you could make your screen bigger so they can actually see your contact information. It's like a little
Okay,
bit of a shadow happening there. I want to make sure they get your contact information if they want to follow up with you with any questions in the future.
there we go.
All right, awesome. All right. So last call for any questions. And if not, then we could wrap it up a little early. Thank you so much, Coach MiMi, for joining us tonight and teaching us how we could advance our career and advancing our career in that way. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Have a good night. Bye.